Mr. President, I rise today to commemorate the life of Senator John McCain along with my colleagues. John's an American icon whose legacy is known not only across our nation but around the world. His belief in American exceptionalism was unwavering and propelled him to a lifelong service to our nation. Few have demonstrated John's level of commitment and service to our country, both through his bravery serving in the United States Navy and his long tenure in Congress. He demonstrated his deep love of country. As the son and grandson of four-star admirals, John began serving this country at an early age. He followed in their footsteps, attended the United States Naval Academy, and was later commissioned as a naval aviator. He served in the Vietnam War, where he was captured and spent 5.5 years as a prisoner of war. And during those years, through torture and misery, he never gave up. He was offered freedom but refused to be released unless every other prisoner was released with him. Think about that. Flying over Vietnam, shot down, ejects from his plane, lands in a lake in Hanoi, bruised, terrible shape, put in a prison, clearly, in incredible pain, and through it all, offered an opportunity to go home early. And he says, no, I'm not going unless all of the POWs go. Think of the strength of character that takes. It's almost unfathomable. I always affectionately referred to him as the Admiral, because both his father and grandfather were full admirals. And no doubt Senator McCain would have been an admiral had he stayed in the Navy as well. But it was just a way that I could recognize his just amazing service in a fun way, in a personal way. But here's somebody that when you talk about serving our country in the military, he just epitomizes that grit, that determination, that strength, that character, that service that we love, respect, and honor so much in our servicemen and women. John's perseverance followed him as he began serving our nation as a member of Congress and in the United States Senate. He fought fiercely for what he believed in. Everybody talks about how when he took a position, he took it with a passion. And so whenever you debated him or discussed things with him, when you worked with him, when you're on the same side, when you disagreed, he had that amazing passion that came through, and many have remarked on it. And it was a remarkable trait. It's part of that warrior in him. For the entirety of his life, John endlessly advocated for our men and women in uniform. He served, and he served them throughout his life in the Senate. Working with him to support our service members and veterans is something that I will never forget. What many people will not know about John, though, is his warmth as a friend. You hear about, his temper. He could be mercurial, although then he'd get over it and he'd be right back working again. You've heard about his incredible energy. You've heard about his war record, his time as a POW, the things he did as a senator. But one thing that I think you don't hear as often, but that was very much true, is he had a tremendous sense of humor, and that came through so often in his interviews. But he was a warm person. I can remember when somebody would come to my office and want to meet Senator McCain, if it worked out time-wise, I would take him over, and we'd go over to Senator McCain's office, and I'd say, hey, I've got somebody here that would just like to say hi to John, get a picture, and meet him. And if he was there almost every time, he'd bring him in, and it wasn't a case of getting enough time or getting a quick picture or something like that. Invariably, he'd have them come in and sit down and talk to him and take pictures, and pretty soon he'd be taking them all around his office and showing him pictures of his family. He was so proud of his family. And his grandfather, his father, his mementos, all the amazing things that made up an amazing life. And he loved it, and he was so warm. I think that's one of the things. There's so many things that I'll never forget. But that's one that I truly treasure and always remember, that here Senator McCain somebody known across America, around the world, certainly an icon, a colleague, obviously, to all of us, but somebody that really was a friend. And when you went over and you wanted to talk to him about something or take somebody over to see him, or whatever it was, you know, he was a friend. He was somebody that was down to earth, that was a person that you could connect with at a real level. And that's pretty amazing for somebody who lived such an incredible life. We'll miss John McCain. May God bless him. From my wife, Mikey, and myself to John's wife, Cindy, and the entire McCain family, we join with you in mourning his loss and honoring his tremendous memory and legacy. Thank you. I yield the floor.